The warning arrived on a quiet cycle, when nothing was supposed to happen. Outpost K. 47 floated near the edge of known space. It was small, old, and mostly forgotten. Traders used it to rest. Refugees used it to hide. No great power cared about it. That was why it was still alive. For now, Commander Rillen stood inside the control room, his thin hands resting on the console. He was not a soldier by choice. He was a station commander because no one else wanted the job. His species believed in calm talks, not war. The galaxy, they thought, had moved past such things. Then the alarms began to scream. Red lights flashed across the walls. The floor vibrated softly, like something huge was moving nearby. "Report," Rillen said, his voice tight. An officer looked up from the scanner, his face pale. Multiple contacts. Unknown life forms. No ship structure. They are alive. Rillen felt a cold fear rise inside him. Living ships were rare. Dangerous. Most records about them ended in one word: destroyed. The screen changed. A dark shape filled the display. It moved slowly, like a giant shadow swimming through space. Smaller shapes followed it, hundreds of them. "They are not responding to hails," the officer said. "They are coming straight for us." Rillen knew what that meant. The outpost weapons were weak. The shields were old. Even if help was called, no fleet would arrive in time. The nearest Allied system was days away. "Send an emergency message," Rillen ordered. "All channels, all frequencies." The officer hesitated. "To whom, Commander?" Rillen opened his mouth, then closed it again. The galaxy had rules. Some names were not spoken unless there was no other choice. Rillen looked back at the screen. Another outpost nearby vanished in a flash of light. No explosion. Just gone. "There is one name," Rillen said slowly. "One species." The room became silent. "You mean them?" the officer whispered. "Yes," Rillen replied. "Send it to the Deathworlders." Many believed they were only stories. Others believed they were too dangerous to contact. Humans, creatures from a violent world, a species that turned war into an art. The officer swallowed and began recording. Rillen stepped closer to the camera. His voice shook, but he forced himself to speak clearly. "This is Outpost K-47, he said. "We are under attack by unknown hostile entities. They consume stations and ships. Our defenses are failing." Behind him, the station shook again. "If anyone hears this message," Rillen continued, "we warn you, do not come. This enemy cannot be stopped." He paused. His eyes showed fear but also regret. "If you value your lives, stay away." The message was sent. Across the galaxy, many stations received it. Councils watched it. Admirals listened. And almost all of them made the same decision. They ignored it. Some laughed. "Humans? They will not answer." One council member said. "They care only for their own worlds," said another. "And even if they come," a third added, "they will arrive too late." The message was marked as low priority. At Outpost K-47, the first impact hit the shields. Energy screamed across the hull. The lights flickered. People ran through the halls. Rillen watched as the shields dropped to 50%. "We will not survive," an officer said quietly. Rillen nodded. He already knew. Hours later, the station was burning. Fire spread. The air grew thin. The creatures outside began tearing into the hull like hungry animals. Rillen returned to the control room one last time. He sat in the command chair, surrounded by sparks and smoke. "Record final log," he said. The system activated. "To whoever finds this," Rillen said, "we did what we could. If the humans hear us, perhaps the galaxy will remember this day." The camera shut down. Far away, beyond the borders of polite space, beyond safe worlds and clean skies, a signal crossed in forbidden territory. On Earth, deep under layers of steel and stone, a human listening post came alive. Red lights flashed. A human officer looked at the screen. His eyes narrowed. "Sir," he said slowly, "we just received an SOS." The commander stepped forward. From where? Edge of the galaxy, the officer replied, from a civilian outpost. The message played. When it ended, the room was silent. The commander folded his arms and gave a small, dangerous smile. They told us not to come, he said. He turned to the fleet control channel. Wake the Dreadnoughts, he ordered. All of them. And far out in the dark, humanity began to move. The SOS traveled faster than light, carried by old relays, forgotten channels, and whispering signals that cut across a galaxy. By the time it reached Earth Command, the humans were already alert, but they had never heard anything like this. Commander Eric Voss stood in the observation room, overlooking the massive docks where dreadnoughts rested. Ships built to withstand supernovas and fight entire fleets. Ships that humans didn't even reveal to other species, unless war demanded it. The message played again looped on the screens. This is Outpost K-47 under attack. Unknown hostile life forms, shields failing. If anyone hears, do not come. Eric listened, his jaw tight. Humans never ran from a fight. Not their planets, not their colonies, not even starving starships drifting in black voids. They only moved toward the danger. Always. Sir, said Lieutenant Harlan, the Council thinks it's a hoax. They advise ignoring it. Eric shook his head. No species has ever sent an SOS like this. Not for nothing. They were warning us, not begging us. A pause filled the room as the enormity sank in. Outpost K-47 was small. Its destruction could mean nothing to a large empire. But the SOS, it carried fear. Real fear. Fear that only humans could answer. Eric turned to the command screen. A hologram of the edge of known space floated in the air, showing clusters of stars, outposts, and empty voids. A blinking red dot marked K-47's last known location. Prepare the Dreadnought fleet, he ordered. All active ships. Set course for K-47. Lieutenant Lin blinked. Sir, that's hundreds of light years away. The ships will need at least 3 rotations to reach them. Eric smiled. It was not a comforting smile. It was a smile of someone who loved impossible odds. Then we will make every rotation count. Meanwhile, news of the SOS spread quietly. Other species began to murmur. Most were afraid of humans. Even stories passed down for generations warned. Humans survived worlds that no one else could. Humans fought in conditions no one else would tempt. Humans laughed at death. On Earth, ships stirred. Giant dreadnoughts powered up their engines, shaking ports that had been quiet for decades. Weapon systems hummed. Energy fields flared. Pilots ran drills as if their lives depended on it, which, tonight, they certainly would. Lieutenant Lin approached Eric again, her voice low. Sir, we have reports from scouts. Unknown energy signatures, moving fast, heading toward K-47. These life forms are massive. Eric nodded. Then our timing is perfect. They won't know what hits them. For humans, this was routine. Danger was expected. Fear existed to sharpen the mind, not to stop action. In space, between the stars, the creatures that attacked K-47 sensed the approaching fleet. They had never seen humans before. The galaxy species called them Deathworlders, killers, monsters. But these creatures had never faced them, and would soon learn why stories survived. Red lights blinked again in the human command room. Incoming transmissions. K-47's last survivors were sending data, coordinates, battle scans. Every byte of information carried horror, but also something more. Strategy. Humans could use this. Humans always use information. Eric's fingers moved over controls. Plot every possible trajectory, he ordered. Prepare for battle. Remember, we are not here to negotiate. We are here to survive and protect. The first human ships jumped into hyperspace. One by one, dozens of dreadnoughts followed. Massive engines lit up the void like tiny suns. They moved as one. Perfect, deadly, determined. In alien worlds watching silently, rumors spread. Humans are moving, hundreds of them. They will reach K-47. But why would they answer? That was not their planet. The answer was simple. Humans did not leave allies behind. Humans did not allow the weak to die when they could stop it. Humans fought for life itself, not for fame or politics. Back at Earth Command, Eric stood in front of the fleet's largest viewport. Stars blurred as ships moved into faster-than-light travel. He whispered quietly to himself. They asked us not to come, so we must. Every one of them will remember this day. Somewhere deep in the black void, Outpost K-47's ruins drifted. Fires burned on the hull. The creatures circled, unaware that death had a name now. Human Dreadnoughts. And when the humans arrived, no one, not even the creatures themselves, would ever forget it. The countdown to battle had begun. By the time the humans left Earth, news of their movement had spread quietly across the galaxy. Not everyone knew exactly what was happening, but whispers traveled fast. Humans are moving. They respond in SOS, even beyond their territory. They bring dreadnoughts, hundreds of them. In the councils of alien species, panic stirred. Some species had never even seen humans, but they remembered the old stories. Tales older than any space station. Stories about humans who survived worlds that should have killed them. Stories about humans who laughed in the face of extinction. Stories about humans who fought not just for themselves, but for anyone who needed them. Admirals and generals in distant star systems began to look at their own fleets with unease. The humans were not supposed to care about outposts on the edge of space. They were supposed to stay on Earth, to mine their own planets. And yet, here they came, on the bridge of a massive alien warship. Admiral Thirac stared at the tactical display. Hundreds of red dot appeared on the edge of known space, moving faster than expected. His antennae twitched nervously. They are faster than records say, he muttered. And organized. Look at them, coordinated. They are efficient. His second-in-command, a smaller, nervous alien named Vesic, spoke. Sir, they are humans. Legends say they fight like nothing else. The galaxy's previous enemies fear them more than death itself. Thirac growled, a sound like grinding metal. Legends are stories. Stories do not shoot beams that can melt a ship's hull. Stories do not command fleets. Let us see if the stories are true. Meanwhile, humans in the Dreadnought fleet maintained perfect order. Pilots and their fighter squadrons ran drills as the massive ships jumped through hyperspace. The command was silent but deadly. Humans did not boast over communication channels. They did not brag. They simply moved. Calculated. Determined. Alien observers, watching from hidden sensors, began to feel something new. Fear, not of humans as killers, but fear of humans as relentless protectors. Humans came to help, even when no one else would. That made them unpredictable, dangerous, unstoppable. Back on Earth Command, Commander Eric Voss reviewed reports from scouts. The creatures attacking K-47 had grown bolder, moving into the open, searching for human weakness. But Eric knew humans had no weakness, not in the way the galaxy thought. Humans thrive where others failed. Lieutenant Harlan approached, holding a data pad. Sir, some species are trying to flee toward K-47. Traitors, colonists, they want humans to save them. Eric's eyes were cold but focused. Then we will not fail them. Humans do not abandon the helpless. Across the galaxy, alien leaders whispered in fear. Some tried to form alliances, hoping to stop the humans before they reached K-47. Others simply hid, leaving only their messages to be picked up by the incoming fleet. They are advancing, a worried council member said. If they reach K-47, what will happen? No one can stand against them once they are angry. And humans were always angry for the right reasons. Not for pride, not for conquest, for survival, for protection, for life itself. Deep in space, near the edge of the unknown, the first scouts from K-47's attackers detected the humans. They saw the dreadnoughts, massive, deadly, and moving in perfect formation. The attackers sensed something they had never felt before, true fear. The creatures did not understand humans. They did not understand why a species would cross the galaxy to help a dying outpost. They only knew one thing. These humans were not like any other species. They fought not for power, not for territory, but for the principle that no one should die if they could be saved. And that made them terrifying. Eric stood on the bridge of the lead dreadnought as the sensors picked up the alien fleet. He did not flinch. Humans did not fear what others feared. Instead, he calmly spoke into the command channel. Prepare weapons. Maintain formation. Remember, we fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. That is why we win. The pilots nodded. Fighters moved into attack positions. Beam cannons powered up. Shields strengthened. Every human ship was ready. And as the alien fleets watched from a distance, they realized a terrible truth. Humans never retreat. Humans never surrender. Humans do not negotiate when others die. Legends, they thought. Myths. Stories. No, this was real. Some alien fleets turned back. Not one to face the humans. Others stayed, compelled by duty, but trembling in ways they had never known. The galaxy, for the first time in centuries, understood something very simple. Humans are different, and the creatures attacking K-47, they would soon learn the hardest lesson of all. The countdown to battle continued. Stars blurred as the human dreadnoughts moved closer. And in the darkness of space, fear grew, not of death, but of the living storm called humanity. The void was silent before the storm. Outpost K-47 had fallen, a burning ghost drifting through space. Fires still glowed where hull breaches had torn the station apart. But the creatures that had destroyed it sensed something new, something terrifying. From the darkness, red engines appeared. Hundreds of human dreadnoughts, massive, armed to the teeth, and moving with perfect coordination. Commander Eric Voss, standing on the bridge of the lead ship, gave a single order: engage. Protect K-47. The alien attackers, massive, twisted organic warships, sensed the humans for the first time. They had expected scavengers, maybe a small response. They had not expected this. The first beams of energy lit up space. Human dreadnoughts fired weapons designed to pierce shields and hull alike. The blast spent light and twisted the void. The creatures roared, a sound no one had heard before, and counterattacked with tentacles of dark energy. Fighters launched from human ships like angry swarms. Each pilot knew their role. Each strike was precise. The alien fleet had never encountered such coordination. They had never seen a species that fought with such deliberate recklessness. Humans were reckless, yes, but always smart, always calculating, always deadly. On the bridge of one human dreadnought, Lieutenant Harlan called out, "Sir, they are adapting their attacks. Shields are weakening in Sector 5. Eric smiled, calm as ever. Then Sector 5 will be where we teach them respect. Fire all weapons. Missiles streaked across the void. Beam cannons flared. Alien ships twisted and screamed as explosions ripped through their ranks. Some tried to flee. Some tried to regroup. None succeeded. What terrified the attackers most was the humans' fearless communication. Open channels carried human laughter, shouted orders, and mocking comments. "Hey, over here, ugly." One pilot yelled as her fighter dodged a tentacle of energy. Another replied, "Missed me, loser." It was chaos. It was organized chaos. And it was terrifying. In the alien command ship, Admiral Thirak watched his fleet crumble. "They enjoy this," he said in disbelief. "They are enjoying the fight." "Yes," his second-in-command hissed. "Humans are different. We should have feared them all along." But it was too late. The humans moved as one entity, overwhelming wave after wave. They adapted to every strike. They used alien weapons against them. They anticipated every move. K-47's coordinates became a death trap for the attackers. Meanwhile, the K-47 survivors, hidden on escape pods, watched the approaching human fleet. They had never expected anyone to come. They had given up hope. And now, from the dark void, rescue had arrived. Explosions lit up the void like stars reborn. Smoke, energy arcs, and debris swirled around. But the humans pressed forward. The creatures screamed in frustration, unable to comprehend the relentless assault. Eric's voice cut across the fleet. "Do not stop. Protect the weak. Remember why we fight. Nothing dies on our watch. Not if we can help it." The words were simple, but in the heart of every human pilot, they carried power. They carried purpose. For the aliens, the realization was horrifying. Humans did not fight for honor. They did not fight for glory. They fought because others depended on them. And no creature in the galaxy had ever faced a species that placed others above fear, above survival, above themselves. One by one, the alien ships fell. Some fled, screaming into hyperspace. Others were reduced to rubble, drifting silently. The survivors of K-47 were saved, pulled aboard human ships with calm efficiency. In the aftermath, Eric looked at the stars ahead. The alien forces had been powerful, relentless, terrifying, but humans were stronger, smarter, and braver. He tapped his communicator. "Report," he said. Lieutenant Lin smiled despite the chaos. "K-47 survivors are safe, sir. Casualties minimal." Eric's eyes narrowed, scanning the horizon. This is only the beginning. The galaxy is watching. And soon, everyone will learn what humans are capable of. The void was no longer silent. It hummed with fear, awe, and the undeniable truth. Humans had arrived. And for the first time in centuries, no alien species doubted the legends. Humans were different. Humans were unstoppable. Humans were the defenders of life itself. Far in the distance, a signal flickered on one of the destroyed alien ships. A warning, not to the humans, to the galaxy. The Deathworlders have arrived. The battle for K-47 was over, but the galaxy was far from understanding what had happened. Alien fleets had seen humans fight, had seen their dreadnoughts rip apart the attackers, and had heard their laughter across the void. Yet most still asked the same question: why are humans so different? Commander Eric Voss stood on the bridge of the lead dreadnought, staring at the stars. The human fleet moved quietly now, protecting survivors and scanning for any remaining threats. In the aftermath, silence filled the space, but it was a kind of silence that carried meaning. Humans survived, and so did their purpose. Lieutenant Harlan approached, holding a tablet with intercepted messages from other species. "Sir, many fleets are talking about us. They're calling it fear, but I think they're trying to understand us." Eric's gaze didn't leave the stars. They can try all they want. Humans are not like other species. We do not fear death in the way they do. We do not flee danger. And we do not fight for ourselves alone. The young lieutenant frowned. "But why? What makes humans humans?" Eric smiled faintly, almost sadly. "Because we were born on a world that tried to kill us every day. We survived storms that would crush mountains. We survived predators that could tear a man apart in seconds. We survived disease and famine, and worlds that could not feed us. And yet we adapted. We learned. We laughed. We fought back. And we helped each other survive." He paused, letting the words sink in. That is why humans are different. We take the impossible and make it ordinary. We take fear and turn it into strength. And when others fail, we step forward, even when we know the odds are against us. Across the galaxy, alien species whispered among themselves. They had never seen a species act like this. Some had evolved on easy planets, with few predators, mild climates, and peaceful neighbors. Humans thrived on adversity, and that made them unpredictable and terrifying. A scout ship returned with reports of survivors from K-47. They were safe now, thanks to the humans, but their expressions showed disbelief. Commander Rillen, the station's last surviving officer, spoke as he was brought aboard a human dreadnought. I never expected help. No one believes humans would answer an SOS. No one trusts you would come. But you came anyway, and you saved us all." Eric nodded. "We do not leave others behind. We never have. That is the law of humanity." Rillen shook his head in wonder. "You're not just soldiers. You're guardians." And in that word, the truth of humans spread across the galaxy. Humans did not conquer. Humans did not enslave. Humans survived. Humans protected. Humans endured. But the lesson was not complete. Even as the survivors thanked the humans, sensors picked up movement beyond the horizon. A new, more dangerous threat was approaching. Creatures unlike anything the galaxy had cataloged. a weapon of destruction designed to wipe out entire systems. The Starkiller entity. Eric studied the data. This is unlike anything we faced. It will consume K-47's region entirely if we do not act. Lieutenant Lin's eyes widened. Sir, even humans may not survive this. Eric's jaw tightened. Humans will survive because we must, and we will destroy it because leaving it alive is not an option. That is why humans fight. That is why humans win. The galaxy needs hope, and humans do not fail when others cannot protect it. The fleet powered up again. Massive dreadnoughts, fighter swarms, and battle frigates prepared for what lay ahead. Every weapon was ready. Every pilot knew the risk. Every human knew the cost. And the galaxy watched once again in awe and fear. Humans were not gods. They were not monsters. But they were something far more dangerous. A species that would never give up. A species that would fight to protect life itself, even at impossible odds. In the shadow of the Starkiller entity, humans prepared. Their shields glowed. Their weapons hummed. And their resolve was unbreakable. Eric whispered, almost to himself, as he gazed at the approaching doom. The galaxy thinks it knows fear, but it has never faced humanity. The first shadow of the Starkiller entity loomed on sensors, and humans did not hesitate. The next battle had begun. The Starkiller entity was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It was massive, dark, and alive, a swirling mass of energy and matter that devoured everything in its path. Entire star systems could vanish if left unchecked. It was no ordinary enemy, no ordinary weapon. The human fleet approached cautiously. Dreadnoughts blazed through the void, fighters darting around like swarms of predatory insects. Every sensor tracked the entity, every weapon charged and aimed. Commander Eric Voss stood on the bridge of the lead dreadnought, his eyes fixed on the dark shape. This is not a fight we can win by force alone, he said quietly. We have to make a choice. One ship must go inside it. Only then can we destroy it. Silence filled the room. The crew understood immediately. One dreadnought, the largest and strongest, would enter the heart of the entity, its weapons primed to explode from within. No escape, no return. Lieutenant Hara Lin stepped forward, her face calm. Sir, we will do it. The crew is ready. Eric nodded, his jaw tight. I know you are. That is why humans are different. We do not hesitate when others would run. We do not turn away from impossible odds. We step forward. The chosen dreadnought, HMS Valor, powered its engines to maximum. Pilots and crew prepared for the final mission. Families of the crew had been told farewell messages hours earlier. There was no fear in their eyes, only determination, only acceptance. As Valor moved toward the entity, the rest of the fleet provided cover. Beam weapons and missile barges toward the outer edges of the Starkiller, trying to distract and weaken it. Fighters weaved through deadly energy streams, dodging and counterattacking. Eric watched the feed from Valor. Every second counted. Every crew member knew that their lives would end inside the entity. Yet no one hesitated. Entering core, reported Captain Jarin Kane, the commander of Valor. His voice was steady. Engaging internal detonation sequence. All systems green. Eric clenched his fists. Godspeed. Valor dove into the swirling mass. Energy streams wrapped around the hull. The ship shook violently. Systems flared. Warning lights screamed. But the crew pressed on. Every moment brought them closer to death, and closer to victory. In the fleet, humans held formation. None broke ranks. None retreated. Every pilot knew their friends aboard Valor were sacrificing themselves, and every pilot carried that courage forward. Inside the entity, Valor's crew worked with precision. They bypassed internal energy flows, overloaded core systems, and prepared the final detonation. The entity sensed a ship and lashed out, tearing massive gashes through its hull. Almost there, Kane whispered. Prepare for final sequence. Back on Eric's bridge, the fleet held its breath. Screens showed Valor surrounded by a storm of energy, yet it continued forward. Then came the explosion. A flash brighter than a sun lit the void. Energy waves tore through the entity's core. The massive dark shape shuddered violently. Debris and fragments of the entity were thrown across space. The ship inside was gone. The galaxy felt it. The impossible had been done. The entity, the star killer that could have destroyed entire systems, was no more. Silence fell over the fleet. The remaining humans looked at each other, understanding the cost. Valor and its crew were gone, but their sacrifice had saved countless lives. Commander Eric Voss stood on the bridge, his voice low but firm. They held the line. They gave everything so others could live. That is what makes humans different. That is why the galaxy should fear us and respect us. We do not fight for glory. We fight because it is right. We fight because we protect life. And we never stop. Lieutenant Lin looked at him, tears in her eyes. They were heroes. No, Eric replied. They were human. That is enough. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy understood that humans were more than just survivors. They were guardians, willing to step into death so that others could live. And far across the stars, whispers began again among alien species. Humans, they are unstoppable. They will come for us if we threaten life itself. The human sacrifice would be remembered forever, not as a loss, but as a statement. When humans fight, even the impossible can be stopped. The fleet regrouped. They moved forward, stronger, quieter, and more determined than ever. Humanity had struck a blow not just against the Star Killer, but against fear itself. And the galaxy would never forget it. The explosion of the Star Killer entity sent shockwaves across space. Fragments of the massive creature scattered into the void, drifting like shattered stars. Silence followed. For a moment, the galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath. Commander Eric Voss stood on the bridge of the lead Dreadnought, watching the debris swirl. The humans had won. Against impossible odds, they had destroyed the weapon that could have annihilated entire star systems. The cost had been high, Valor and its crew lost, but the victory was undeniable. Across the galaxy, news traveled faster than light. Alien species who had watched from a distance could hardly believe what they had seen. Human dreadnoughts had fought with precision, courage, and coordination unmatched by any other species. Humans had faced death and had triumphed. Admiral Thirak, who had once doubted humans, now sat in stunned silence aboard his command ship. It cannot be, he muttered. A single species defeated the impossible. His second-in-command, Vesic, whispered in awe. They do not fight for power, nor for revenge. They fight to protect. That is why they are unstoppable. On K-47, survivors were brought aboard human ships. They were safe, though still in shock. Commander Rillen, the station's last officer, stepped onto the deck of a human dreadnought. He looked at the human crew, his eyes wide with disbelief. You saved us, Rillen said, his voice trembling. I thought we were doomed. I thought no one would come. But you came. All of you. Eric placed a hand on his shoulder. We do not leave others behind. That is what makes humans different. That is what the galaxy must remember. News of the battle spread through alien worlds. Traders, diplomats, and scientists began speaking of humanity in hushed tones. They had expected a species of myths, of stories too wild to be true. What they witnessed was more terrifying than legend. Humans who laughed in the face of death, who fought for life itself, and who could not be stopped when they chose to act. For the first time, the galaxy understood. Humans were not conquerors. Humans were not monsters. Humans were guardians, protectors of life, survivors of the impossible. And now, they had made the impossible their standard. Back on Earth Command, the fleet regrouped. Repairs were underway, and survivors were accounted for. Commander Eric Voss addressed the crews of every dreadnought and fighter, his voice calm but carrying authority. Today, humanity has shown the galaxy what we are capable of, not because we seek glory, but because we cannot turn away when others need us. Remember this. Fear may be everywhere, but courage belongs to those who step forward when others run. Humanity will always step forward. In distant star systems, alien children heard the story. Merchants whispered it across spaceports. Historians began to record it. Humans became more than a species. They became a symbol. The humans, they will come, one alien whispered to another. If life is in danger, they will come. Always. And deep in the void, beyond known space, other threats paused. Creatures that had never feared anything in the galaxy sensed a new law. When humans arrive, survival is uncertain for the aggressor. Humans are relentless. Humans are dangerous. Humans protect life itself. Commander Eric looked out into the stars. Silent for a moment. The galaxy had changed forever. Humans had not sought recognition nor reward. But recognition had come anyway. They were no longer just survivors. They were legends. And as the fleet returned to Earth, a message began circulating quietly among alien species. When danger comes, send for the humans. They will arrive. The galaxy had learned a new truth. The humans were not to be underestimated. They were not to be feared lightly. They were something far greater, a species who would stand between life and death, no matter the odds, no matter the cost. And somewhere, deep in the stars, the survivors of K-47 looked up at the heavens and whispered, "The humans, they are not just fighters. They are guardians. They are hope." The legend of humanity had begun. The fleet returned to Earth in silence, carrying survivors, tales of battle, and memories of the brave souls who had given everything. The galaxy had watched humanity strike down the impossible and lived to tell the story. Humanity was no longer a myth, no longer a legend whispered in fear. They had become a symbol of hope and strength. Commander Eric Voss walked along the docking bays of Earth Command, watching dreadnoughts and fighters returning one by one. Many were scarred, some crew members exhausted, but the fleet remained unbroken. He remembered Valor and its crew, the ship that had sacrificed itself to destroy the Starkiller entity. Their bravery had saved countless lives. Their courage had defined humanity's place in the galaxy. Lieutenant Harlan approached him, carrying messages from alien species. Diplomatic channels were flooded with gratitude, respect, and astonishment. Entire worlds sent emissaries, promising alliances and peace, acknowledging that humans were not conquerors but guardians. "They call us legends now," Lin said quietly. "Do you think we are?" Eric shook his head. "Not legends. Not yet. We are humans. We survive. We fight. And we protect. Legends come later." On K-47, the survivors watched as human ships repaired their station and rebuilt what had been destroyed. Commander Rillen, once doubtful that anyone would come, now understood the truth. Humans were relentless. Humans were fearless. And humans did not leave anyone behind. "They saved us," he whispered. "All of us. Across the galaxy. Alien children learned about the battle. Scholars wrote about it in their records. Traders spoke of it in every spaceport. Even enemies whispered warnings to one another. Do not test the humans. They answer when life is in danger." On Earth, memorials were prepared for the crew of Valor. Ships that had returned in pieces were honored. Names were remembered. Stories were told. Humanity mourned, but they also celebrated the courage that defined them. Every human knew the lesson. Sacrifice was not defeat. It was part of survival, part of protecting life itself. Commander Eric Voss stood before a crowd of pilots and crew, survivors of the battle and those who had fought in other wars. His voice was steady, filled with pride. Humanity has faced death and stepped forward. We have faced the impossible and made it possible. Today, the galaxy knows who we are, not because we fought to conquer, but because we fight to protect. We are not perfect. We are not invincible. But we are humans, and that is enough. The galaxy would never forget that day. Aliens of all kinds would tell the story for generations. The humans who came to a dying outpost, who fought when no one else would, who faced death itself, and who triumphed, far beyond known space. Somewhere deep in the stars, signals carry the stories of humans to other worlds. And when civilizations faced danger, the first thought in many minds was the same: send for the humans. The dreadnoughts rested. The fighters repaired. Humanity had returned home, stronger and wiser. But across the stars, legends of the humans, Deathworlders, grew. Stories of bravery, sacrifice, and hope spread across planets, inspiring both fear and admiration. Children of alien species grew up hearing tales of humans who laughed in the face of death, who protected the helpless, and who never gave up. Entire generations were shaped by the courage of a species that refused to quit. And deep within Earth Command, Commander Eric Voss looked out at the stars one last time, smiling faintly. When the galaxy needs someone, they will call us. And when they do, we will answer. The humans had proven themselves. They had survived the impossible. They had faced death and won. The galaxy had learned the hardest truth. When humanity fights, hope follows, and nothing can stop them. And so, the legend of humanity was born, not as conquerors, not as monsters, but as guardians of life, unyielding and unstoppable, a force the galaxy would never forget.